Dear friends, dear colleagues, dear students, all of you live here present, but also all our guests following via the live stream. Very welcome to the celebration of the Simon Stevin Award that was awarded to one of our professor's colleagues, Professor Bart Jacobs. He is, of course, already celebrated many times since he got the award. But this time, we, as Faculty of Science, who are really proud of him, will celebrate him today and make sure that he knows and all of us knows how proud we are on him. So let me first tell you a little bit about the Simon Stevin Award. The Simon Stevin Award is the highest or the most prestigious Dutch award for science with impact in society. And that the award is nominated after a scientist, Simon Stevin, and that is actually one of my favorite scientists of all scientists. And there are many reasons for this, why the award was nominated after him. He was a very broad scientist. He was a mathematician. He was also a physicist and an engineer. And his work was very broad, but especially he was also a citizen. And he really was concerned about all rights and obligations all citizens had. You know, that is, he actually wrote a piece on that. It's a kind of, in Dutch, in Old Dutch, it is burgerlijk leven, it was. And there it was on all the rights and obligations we have as citizens. And that's indeed, I think, there is no better parallel that we can draw actually with our Professor Bart Jacobs. So that he also is very broad scientist. He is as well a mathematician, but also a philosopher. And above all, he is also a very good citizen, because the work he does, we heard him on the radio, he really can see it, and he is very direct, we know it, he's very direct in all his words, and whenever he says things, he is quite, he knows he can say quite to the point what is wrong and what is right. So that's really something that he deserves it for. But it's actually kind of strange, and that there are two things which are quite unique to this prize, actually. The first thing is that Bart Jacobs is, strangely enough, the first mathematician who got this award. So that's already something unique. And something even also unique is that this is the very first Simon Stevin Award in our faculty. And while it is the award for science with impact, you could say, and this is quite, if you know, the title of the mission of our faculty is Science with an Impact. So to have awarded this Stevin Prize award to one of our colleagues makes me really proud as Dean of the faculty. So that is, Simon Stevin was also one of my favorite scientists because he was really an European citizen, because he was born in Flanders, in Brugge. He was a Flemish mathematician, but he did most, or if not all, of his science he did in the Netherlands. He studied in Leiden, and he subscribed him in the Leiden University as Simon Stevin from Bruges. So he really wanted to say that he was kind of belonging to both countries. So you understand why he is kind of a favorite scientist of mine. But there is still another reason why he is one of my favorites. He is the first one, even before Galileo, he stressed the importance of combination of theory and practice. Even before Galileo, he did that. And that too is kind of the cornerstones of our faculty, is the combinations of experiments with theory. So that is, I think we are very proud that Professor Bart Jacobs, Professor of Informatics, Computer Science, I should say, I think Cybersecurity even more, and much more. He is also a professor in another faculty of theology in ours, so he is quite, I don't think there is anyone who is broader in this faculty as Bart Jacobs. And I could say many, many more things about Professor Jacobs, but I think to make it not kind of a monologue of mine, because that would be quite boring at the end, we find a way of having a conversation between Bart Jacobs and a colleague of him from the faculty of the philosophy of the Department of Ethics, and that is Marcel Becker. He agreed to do a conversation with Bart Jacobs so that we can understand better, even better, why Professor Bart Jacobs obtained this degree or this award, and actually that is a shame that he didn't get this award five or 10 years ago already. So I think I would like to invite Bart Jacobs, Professor Bart Jacobs and Marcel Becker to the stage. Floor is yours, Marcel and Bart.
Thank you, Dean, for these beautiful words. And I think now people are even more looking forward to the conversation. And we'll see whether Bart Jacobs indeed is able to say what's right and what's wrong. Bart, suppose you were a member of NWO jury that had to decide about the Simon Stevin Award. What would you consider to be the best reason to give Professor Jacobs this award?
That's a terrible question. I don't know what to think. I think the Dean has mentioned some things which are indeed characteristic in my work, that I try to combine theoretical work and practical work. And I'm also very much engaged in what happens in society. I was happy that you mentioned the book of Stevin, The Burgerlijk Leven. I actually read it this summer. It's still very modern. And it's also a book, I guess, that appeals to philosophers. There's much Cicero in there. It's really worthwhile still to read. It's very modern, yeah.
Okay, you'll speak about your societal engagement later, but first, I think it's nice to see you did not decide that you are not member of the NWO jury, other people are. How does it work, the decision procedure?
Maybe it's good to tell a little bit about that, because also I did not really know. It's a little bit secret how it works. So each year universities may nominate people for Stevin and Spinoza awards, and this is done without the candidates knowing about this. This is also a requirement of NWO, so I didn't know. I reconstructed this later. And so universities and knowledge institutes can nominate, and I understood for Stevin this year 25 people were nominated, and in the end 2 were selected. So it's reasonably selective in that sense.
But normally when you get money as a scientist, you have to write plans and proposals. Yeah. And for this awards, you even didn't know about it. Yeah. So there is this huge confidence, trust that they have put on you. Does it feel as a burden?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, but it's not just on me. It's the nice thing about the Spinoza and Stevin Awards that NWO gives the laureates, the winners, 2.5 million without any strings attached. So you can, of course, you cannot use it to buy a new car, but it's relatively broad on what you can spend it. So I could use it also to teach computer science for girls in primary schools or these kind of things. And I'm completely free, and as probably many colleagues here, you have the same experience. You spend so much of your time writing proposals and trying to predict what theorem you will prove in 3 years' time, and these kinds of sort of bureaucratic nonsense that we all go along with. And but here with this prize, you suddenly got the money, and actually, the prize was officially nominated early September, September 3 to be precise, and I got a call from NWO, the chair of NWO, early July that I got this prize, and so I spent the whole summer, what will I do with 2.5 million? But I couldn't share my thoughts with many people because I had to keep it secret until the 1st of September. Yeah. So it was a very lonely thinking period.
Yeah. we will talk about the way you will spend the money, but first, do you know, was it in the minds of the NWO people that you work at such a beautiful faculty?
I don't know.
And that was a reason to give you this award, or didn't it play any role because you are research, but you are broader embedded in research institutes and so on?
I don't know precisely how it works. So also I got some information from NWO. So they don't precisely follow the procedure of sending the application written by this university. They don't send it to reviewers. They actually call reviewers because they like to get some people at the top level internationally. And those people are very busy, and ask them to do something in writing. Something they're not so keen on to do, but if most of them apparently are happy to have a conversation. And actually, over the last period, I heard from 2 colleagues internationally that they said, yeah, they called me, and so that was nice to hear. And so my response to them was, I owe you a beer.
Okay, thank you.
Or a glass of wine, or maybe even a good bottle of whiskey or whatever.
Okay. Your identity as a scientist, you're a mathematician?
Basically, yeah.
And
deep down.
Deep down, that's your core identity. And 10 years ago, you received the ERC grant.
Yeah.
Next to that, you work in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Is there a connection between being a mathematician and working on cybersecurity?
Yeah, there are lots of connections. The basis of computer security is cryptography, which is a very mathematical discipline. It's about encryption and decryption, oversimplifying things. Maybe colleagues get upset if I simplify so much, but the core, I would say, of that field is mathematical, but it has spread out very much. So hardware security is a separate area, software security has become a separate area, but the core of it, I would say, is mathematical in nature.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think that I get the impression that you have 2 career tracks.
One
career track as a mathematician, and one as a publicly renowned cybersecurity expert.
Yeah, I think that's true. So the careers diverged a little bit. Actually, a nice anecdote is, a couple of years ago at a conference, someone came to me and asked me, "Are you the same Bart Jacobs as who did?" I said, "Yeah."
Okay, yeah. So in fact, okay, we will talk about how this also, this double identity of you, how this will influence your work, what you will do with the money. But first we go, what are you most proud of as a mathematician?
Yeah. As a mathematician? Oh, I think I would then come up with 1 or 2 theorems and say this is. A number of years ago, I gave a talk at some conference. Actually, it was a workshop. It was very, very informal with friends. And I presented a result, and I said to the audience, if ever a result is named after me, like Jacob's lemma, I said I would like it to be this one. And I guess many people with a mathematical background have such a feeling about some of their main results. So certainly there are some results, but they are too technical to really.
And they are not directly related to your cybersecurity?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
no,
so you have 2 careers. So you could receive 2 awards.
Yeah, but I think, here they especially took this breadth into account.
And now you know the next question will be, what are you most proud of in your cybersecurity career track?
Okay, so the topic I worked on a lot the last 10 years is digital identity. Logging into, privacy-friendly logging into let's say, websites. I've developed this attribute-based technology called IRMA, which is now rolled out. It's building on works of many other colleagues. It's credential-based, zero-knowledge-based. There's fancy mathematics behind this. But before this last summer, the European Union announced that they would introduce plans for a Europe-wide digital wallet, a digital identity wallet. And these ideas were very much based on what we have done for IRMA. And I don't want to claim that it directly came from us. I did play a role in the revision. Formerly it was a revision of some code of the EIDAS regulation. So I did play a role in there, and together with colleagues, of course. But I was very proud that these ideas were taken up. And so that's not so much impact of mathematical work, but societal work, and that these ideas has played a role in Europe. And once again, I'm not claiming exclusive influence here, but it's good that these broad ideas get picked up at such a level. Yeah.
Okay. Now the question that everyone wants to ask to you: what will be done with the 2.5 million euro?
Yeah. Three things. Yeah, you want to hear them all? There's time enough to explain.
Giving champagne and bottle of whiskies to the people who have helped you?
Now, I will spend one on a hobby project, and maybe that's also nice to tell. So I've always been interested in history of cryptography in the 20th century, and the Netherlands has played a special role in this. So, for instance, the German Enigma machine that was used a lot in the war, that was based on Dutch ideas from the 1914, 1915. So there's very little known about that. There were some colorful figures in Dutch history which are not very well known. So, and this is a kind of project. I'm trying to find a PhD student to do this. And I've asked a colleague from the history department to help supervise that, because I don't have historical skills in this methodology. But it's a kind of hobby project that I can now do because I have this money. And it's very hard to get funding for these kind of things if you go through regular NWO channels. So that's one.
It's funny to hear that a third discipline has come in, history. In the course of the conversation.
Yeah, okay. You're a historian, Bart Jacobs, so you picked this up.
Yeah. The second?
The second one is on probabilistic logic. So that builds on my original background in logic. And I have already hired a postdoc on this, and there are 2 vacancies for PhD students there. So I like to build a small subgroup together with the colleagues here. From ICES. And the third one...
the second one. Probabilistic. I, being a lay in this area, think that has to do with deep learning. And that
that's true.
So there's a relation with security, or
no, there is a relation with AI, with artificial intelligence, and so probabilistic logic is an area which has not been really fully developed. There are hundreds of probabilistic logics, but there's no agreement in the community. This is the kind of logic we need to use, like Boolean logic or intuitionistic logic or whatever. And so I like to work on that, and I think it's indeed important for developments in AI. What you see these days so AI is used in various societal applications, and there's a greater need to explain why such an AI systems takes a certain decision. So to mention an example, so if you apply for a mortgage at your bank and your bank says, no, you don't get a mortgage because you drive a blue car, I mean, that can be statistically relevant. That people who drive in blue cars don't pay off their mortgage in time, and that might be, if you reason purely statistically, might be a good reason for a bank to deny you a mortgage. But we all agree that somehow this is non-acceptable as a reason. And why is this non-acceptable? Even though it's statistically maybe relevant, that's a non-trivial question. So you need to reason logically in this area to explain these kind of things. That's difficult. Sometimes this area is called explainable XI. That's a new area where lots of funding goes into, and I like to approach this from a logical perspective.
Yeah. But this kind of logical perspectives in AI is completely different from cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
And even more different from the third thing that you want to do with the money.
Yeah, so the third thing has been has received most attention publicly, also in the media. So at the same time that I got this Stevin Award, José van Dijk, a professor of media studies in Utrecht, got the Spinoza Award. I know José already for a very long time. She's influential. She's very good in her area. She's been former president of the KNW. I'm a big fan of hers, and so in July, when I heard about this prize, a few days later, NWO sent a message to all the prize winners, giving some general information. And then we saw from each other that we both had this prize, so we immediately called each other.
Oh, you really didn't know because it was a secret. And then
after a few days, we learned about this and we called each other and we had a very, of course, very enthusiastic conversation. Hey, we both had this prize and so nice and all of this. And then we agreed to join forces in a certain way. And what we decided to do is try and develop new social network.
So a fourth discipline comes in because now you're closely working with a social scientist.
Yeah. So although she really has worked a lot on digitalization, she has written influential books on digital platforms and what she calls the platform society. So platforms are Google, Uber, the kind of systems we go through very often on a daily basis, and that regulate, that mediate many things that we do in the digital world.
And she's quite critical on the values in those platforms. Yeah. And what will your joint forces?
Yeah, so we agreed to divide labor in a sensible way, of course. And what will happen here in Nijmegen, we actually start designing and building. Building means writing software, getting things up and running. And she will be more on the user side and also on the governance side. Yeah. Suppose some new social network like this comes off the ground, how will you run this? Because one of our main aims is to get public values integrated into such a new social network, and not to try, to try and keep commercial, incentives out of this system. Not so much because I'm against the commercial world, but we've seen enough of that so far in the digital world, and it's time that we get new sorts of systems where public values play a greater role. Yeah.
Public values, there's a very broad notion. Can you give an example of the kind of public values that will play a role in that?
Yeah, I would say several. So transparency is for me a very important public value, in the sense that it's in principle clear what these things do. Like what's Facebook or Google do, that's a black box. You get recommendations, you get things on your timeline, you feel that you're being manipulated. I mean, yesterday was in the news that Google got fined, or the fine was confirmed, because they manipulate the search results that you get, so to prioritize their own shopping or systems. We like to be transparent about these kind of things, use open source software, make this public so that other people can build on this, in that sense be more public. Data protection is a very important thing, but also I like to try and protect people a little bit, so for instance, after we came into the news, several organizations got in touch with us and said, let's try to cooperate. And this week people from the National Library organizations in the Netherlands reached out, which I liked very much, because the libraries have a clear role in society. They're really local. They're not at city or village level, but community level. and they much more are becoming social meeting places where people go to drink a cup of coffee or read a book, etc. But they value truthfulness of information, reliability of information very much. They have to move into the digital world as well. They don't want to do that via Facebook because they feel Facebook is on a totally different level. And libraries, you see, also have a very inclusive role. Many people have in society have problems in the digital world, for instance, logging in, etc. And libraries take up that role more and more, where you can go to and people help you to use DigiD or whatever kind of system. So that's I'm very glad with that and to cooperate these kind of with these kind of people.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I never heard a mathematician talking so convincing about public values, and I like that kind of talk. At the same time, I think, do you really think that you can compete with Facebook?
No, yeah, that's a question we got many times over the last few months. The idea is not so much to push Facebook out of this world, because that's not going to happen. But it's important for us to show that there are alternative ways of doing this, to demonstrate, look, it's not necessarily the way Silicon Valley decides to organize, I think. There are other ways to do this. And we like to demonstrate this, and only often by showing how it could also look like, you can convince people, and it opens their eyes. And to come back to, again, this Irma example and what Brussels did, that they took over these ideas. Maybe the network we will build will not be dominating in the world, probably not. But I'm also happy if some of the ideas get taken over by others.
Yeah. So you give some broad perspectives, you make some promises, and you invest a lot of time and energy in a better future. Yet you don't know what will be the result exactly.
Yeah.
It is like Elon Musk 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think he has a different agenda, but well, I never thought of analogies, so I don't know. Yeah.
But
okay.
Because do you think that that's the infrastructure on such a network, that it can help to realize that public values?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. So last night I was somewhere, and I met a person I know already for quite some time who runs petities.nl. I don't know if you know this. This is a website where you can start a petition online. And he said he was also interested in what we were doing. And he said, I like to organize a communities of citizens, so that such a community can also hire then a lobbying firm. Because that's also a way of getting influence of citizens. Nowadays, you can say lobbying, I don't want to have anything to do with it, but they can be very effective in influencing policies. And nowadays, it's mostly big companies that can afford to buy such lobbying firms. But if you organize, if you have a mechanism of organizing citizens in a certain way, and everyone chips in 10 euros or whatever, then maybe you can organize a lobbying firm. Yeah. So okay. Indeed, I mean, it offers lots of possibilities.
Yeah. Do you think that no, let me ask it this way. You talk convincing about public values. You are a scientist with a mission. Can I describe you like that?
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah.
What is your motivation to work with that kind of mission? What is your driving force behind? Because being a scientist can be pretty interesting and can be fascinating, and you with so much emphasis interfere in public discussions, and now you have this idea about public values. What is the driving force behind that?
Yeah, I would say as a scientist, I would say I'm driven by the truth. I mean, it sounds a bit pathetic, but I really want to find out how does this work. And certainly in the area of mathematics, the truth is very often beautiful also.
Yeah.
So there is the people in mathematics will probably realize this. I mean, if you manage to capture a certain situation in a very snappy formula, or you can say, yeah, this is it. This is right. I often say to colleagues when we're working and we're trying to develop a theory and we're halfway, I use as an argument, no, this is too baroque. This is too baroque. This can't be true. I mean, the formula is too big or whatever, and so there's a combination of truth and beauty.
But society is messy and sloppy,
so
that's exactly.
I was aware that this was going completely in a different direction. Also, I think it sounds a cliche, but I think I am indeed driven by desire to get a better world in some way. Maybe to make it a bit more specific, something which I find hard to handle is injustice. And again, you can ask what is injustice, but I mean powerless people who get trumped by whatever, these kind of situations. That can really motivate me in a certain ways. Yeah.
Okay, I think this is the best way to end a conversation with a good scientist and a good human being.
Well,
before we go to the celebration after this conversation, I give the floor to the Dean. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Marcel, for this very nice conversation, very enlightening. I think all of us now understand, even after that cybersecurity, you had explainable AI, social networks with public values. We really look forward to it. I think, we're really proud, and I think you are a really worthy Stevin Prize award winner. And for all of you, just look to the picture. If you look good and with a little bit of imagination, you see clearly the resemblance. I can't agree else. So I really want to give you some flowers for this. And this is only a symbol of our appreciation.
Thank you, Carla.
And
I don't know if the microphone is. Can you still? I think so. You mentioned indeed that Simon Stevin is from Brugge, and I think it's very nice. It's also a tribute to your deanship that you, as a dean from Flanders, now have this prize within your faculty. You must also be proud of that.
I'm very proud of that.
It's very nice. Yeah.
And Marcel, many thanks for this really nice conversation and guiding us through this. Please. Okay. Many thanks.
Drinks?
And for all of you people here alive, there is some drinks here, so we'll enjoy the drinks. And for people online, have a nice evening, and please join us also with a glass of wine or something and celebrate with us. Bye-bye.